Welcome to the Resiliency of the Human Spirit podcast, where we share all about human triumphs for the collective's healing and empowerment. I am your host, Priscilla Hanley. My guest today is Tami Goulet. Tammy, the Soulful Business Alchemist behind Speak Your Soul Magicks, leverages over 25 years of corporate experience and over 5 years as a solopreneur to empower entrepreneurs. She empowers individuals to redefine success and cultivate inner brilliance. Through her transformative circle method program, she guides clients on a journey of self-discovery, unlocking their true potential and aligning with authenticity. Tammy passionately believes in living a spiritual life in a human world. Without further ado, I'm going to bring Tammy on right now. Hi, Tammy.
Hi, Priscilla. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
So, Tammy, we connected a few months ago where you shared your personal journey with me,
Hmm.
specifically your spiritual abilities as a child. And then as you entered into adulthood, you had some dark nights of the soul, which I would invite you to share in a little bit. And so I am really glad you're here today because I think a lot of people can relate to your journey. A lot of people are awakening right now, and some of them are going through dark nights of the soul and feeling a little bit lost in life, have no idea what to do. So yeah, I want to just jump right in and have you start sharing your story on how everything started for you and the lessons you learned throughout your journey.
Well, thank you so much for having me. My journey started basically when I was really young. When I was 3 years old, I remember telling my Mom, you can't sit there. The man's there. And my mom would be like, what man, Tammy? There's no one here. And I'm like, yeah, the man's here. The man's taking care of us. It's all good, right? I was calming my mother down. Normally it's the other way around, right? Monsters under the bed, all that stuff. Your parents normally calm you down. But for me, it was very much, I was open to the spiritual realm, and I had a man there who was there to protect me. I had sort of that ability up until I was about 16. And the reason it went away when I was 16 is because I had no one to help nurture me. I had no idea how to use the abilities that I had to that point and make them stronger or even understand them. So that part went away, but then I've kept a lot of other abilities that I didn't realize I had when I was younger. So very empathetic. I can feel energy. I can sort of sense spirits still, and I can channel or get messages. So clairvoyant, clairsentience, all of that. So I'm traveling through my life and I hit different traumas throughout my life. And they've always, it was always like, there's a reason why this is happening. That's something I very much believe. And back in 2017, I was going through a really dark period. My life looked fabulous on paper, but I was dying inside. I was numb. I wasn't happy. I felt like something was missing and sought help. Ended up in 2018. I had an accident where I broke both ankles. And the universe basically sat me down and said, look, you're not listening. You're not getting it. You're doing you're healing on a very superficial level. It's time to go deep, woman. Like, you've got to do this. So had my dark night of the soul, one of them, the biggest one, I would say, because I think we go through many different dark nights of the soul. And it was a deep dive into me. And it was a deep dive into who I was, what I wanted to do, how I wanted to live, what my purpose here was in life. And out of that dark night of the soul, I'm now doing what I love to do, and I'm living a life I love. I got rid of all the noise and started living my true purpose.
Nice. So let me go back a little bit. So when you were a child and you saw that man sitting in the chair.
Yeah.
How did spirit manifest itself to you? Like when you see a man sitting in a chair, how did he look like? Was he translucent, like energy?
No, he was a figure there. Like I really felt that he looked perfectly alive like you and I did. He was just there because my mom couldn't sit there because the man was there. So in my mind, in what I saw, he was physically present. Nobody
Right.
else could see him, but I knew he was there and I knew he wasn't there to harm us.
Okay, so he was like somebody that passed. Did you know this person that passed, or was he like more your guardian?
It's funny, I mean, when I was a child, he was very physically present for me. As an adult, when I try to look back on him, all I see is a shadow and he's got a hat on. So he's still around, but he's hidden himself from me as an adult. But as a child, he was very much there. He was just an older man. He was, I wouldn't say he was one of my guides or guardians. He was just someone there to watch over me and watch over the family. My biological father was quite abusive. And so he stuck around until I was no longer kind of in that situation.
I see. So he was mainly your guardian, more of a
Yeah,
guardian energy.
he was somebody who I knew was always there, who had my back, who supported me even during the times of abuse.
Right. I got it.
So I didn't fully feel alone.
Okay. So for someone who is opening up to spirit and maybe seeing spirit sitting in a chair and they're freaked out by it, what would you tell this person?
I would tell them as much as possible to start telling yourself you're okay with it, but to also put it out in the universe that no harm shall come to me. Only light and love energy is allowed, and any spirit that wishes harm is banished and is not invited. So you basically, and you can also say, I mean, this is the other thing too, especially when somebody is first starting out, they're getting bombarded all the time, like all the time, day, night, while they're driving, whatever. You can actually say to the universe, I'm closed right now. I am not doing this. Like you can put up your closed sign and you can say, sorry, but no, I need to drive or I need to sleep or I'm working. I will, my office hours basically are from whatever time to whatever time. And for others who are being awakened in the night, they can actually put a glass of water beside their bed. And you could say to spirit, any messages you need me to receive, place into this water. And when I drink it in the morning, I'll know.
Oh, wow.
So you can actually, the people tend to think like, oh my God, I'm getting this. I need to, be open to all of it and decide, just be there for it. And the reality is we work in, like, it's a partnership between you and the universe. It's not somebody like forcing something down on you. It is something in you has opened up to allow this energy to come in and be shown in whatever way it is, so scent or sight or knowing or actually physical representation. But the same way we have an interaction and a relationship with actual people, we can do the same thing with the universe. We can put up our own boundaries, we can put up our own protection, we can put up our own closed sign, open sign, whatever you want to say, so that when you are working with the universe, you are also still in control of it. It's not going to overwhelm you unless you allow it. And don't get me wrong, when you first start opening up, it's like, oh, shining object. Oh, it's like, wow, it's phenomenal. But we can only do so much and we can only take so much. So it's up to us to decide, That's really, really interesting. Say it's palm reading. I don't know why that's coming up. So somebody who's watching this must need
Yeah.
to hear this. But, say palm reading comes up and it's like, wow, that's really interesting. But you're really drawn to crystals. And so go where you're really drawn to. Focus on that. The others are not going to go away. You can always tap back into that particular energy and bring it back into your life. My ability that I had as a child to see spirits is slowly coming back because I'm slowly opening myself up to it. But I do have to tell you that it is a little bit scary when out of the corner of your eye you see something, you go and look and there's something there and you're alone in your house, right? I mean, as humans, that's going to freak us out.
Yes.
So it's a matter of working with the universe and asking for their help to get you comfortable with things. So maybe if you're starting to see spirits, it's like, can you show me as an animal? Because maybe an animal is not going to startle you as much as a man standing in your apartment when you're alone.
Right.
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 So it is really a working relationship and setting up what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with. But the most important thing that I can say is ensure that you always say, I am protected and only light and love are welcome into my home, my being, my energy space, all of that, so that you're not inviting in potentially negative energy. So
Yeah, this is so interesting because I can relate to this. And I think this whole topic is coming up because I think partly it's for me as well to understand. So let me share very quickly my experience. So I have been having a lot of metaphysical experiences while I sleep at night. So, I feel a lot of like tingling in my body, and sometimes it's so strong that it wakes me up from my sleep. And so I've had a reading with a medium, and my guides came through and they said they're working on me while I'm sleeping. So I get that. But it was starting to really bother me because I wake up very tired because my sleep's been disturbed. And so I always call on Archangel Michael to assist me while I'm asleep. And I did put out the intention that, okay, I need this tingling sensations to stop at night because it's really bothering my sleep and I can't do it anymore. And you know what? It didn't stop. They did not honor my request. And so I was very upset about that, right? And so I took it to the highest level. So I took it to Source. I wrote a letter to Source and I said, I'm very tired. I was kind of, venting out at Source and I said, I'm very tired. I need this to stop. And it stopped after my letter to Source. So my question for you is, why did it not honor our request to stop? If it's truly my guides that's working on me, and my guides are supposed to protect me and assist me, right? So if I'm telling my guides to stop because it's bothering me, why did they not stop?
they didn't stop because you needed whatever they were doing for your highest good. And the only time you were open enough to allow them to do it was when you were asleep. So if you think about it, right? If somebody is trying to get your attention and you're only giving them like half attention, right? They're going to do something so that they get your full attention. If you think about children, right? Children will throw a temper tantrum so that you actually pay like complete attention to them. But that's all they wanted was the complete attention. So when you're sleeping, you're fully open. There's no barriers, there's no veils, there's nothing. It's like you're completely open. So you needed what they were doing. So instead of offering them an alternative, saying, I will give you a half hour before I go to sleep where I will completely open myself up and you can do what you need to do to then allow me to go, okay, now I'm going to sleep. The tingling does not continue, right? So that's why they didn't stop, because you hadn't given them an alternative. There are certain things that we need to have happen to us, to ourselves, to our bodies, to our up leveling, our vibrations, all of that, that can only happen when our logical mind is not involved.
Yep.
So if somebody else is experiencing this, right, I would recommend the glass of water beside the bed, because that's the other thing you could do. If something needs to happen, instead of the tingling, can you put it in this water? I'll make sure to drink it in the morning. I'll give you, this time to this time where I will keep my eyes closed. I will not do anything else. I will meditate, or I'll listen to music or whatever, and go for it, right? Like, I'm opening myself up to you, kind of thing. And that's definitely what I would recommend, because they're like anybody else. They need our attention in one way or another to be able to do what needs to be done for our highest good.
Thank you for that. I really love the idea about the water. I'm going to try that tonight.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit earlier about your deep healing, where you said you were doing healing on a superficial level, but then spirit was asking you to go deeper. So can you elaborate a little bit more for our audience? How did that look like for you? Like deep healing, what is that all about?
Deep healing is opening yourself up to all the parts of you that you do not want to see. It's your shadow self, it's your past acts, past behaviors. It's your acceptance that even though somebody may have been a jerk to you, that you also may have played a role in that. It's the realization and understanding that you and you alone are the only common denominator in every single thing that has happened in your life. So you have repeating patterns that happen. There's a reason that they're happening. There's something in you that's allowing it to happen. It's not that, everybody else is out to get you. It's, what are you not seeing in yourself that is causing this to happen? So those are the type of realizations that happened to me when I was going deep. Like, on a superficial level, it wasn't superficial on the part of the people I was working with. It was superficial on my part, because I wasn't allowing myself to go deep in myself. But when the universe had that freak accident happen, I had no choice. I couldn't do anything. I was sitting on my bum in a lazy boy chair with 2 air casts on, and there really wasn't much else I could do other than think. I read, really didn't like watching TV, but I watched some TV. But I thought, like, why am I here? What is going on? What am I not listening to? What am I not hearing? I could have sat there, as some people do, and bemoan and just play victim, but I realized that it was for my highest good that I needed to go deep and start pulling out the parts of me that maybe I hadn't looked at in a while, maybe I was ignoring, and it was getting to know them again and welcoming them back into me and bringing them all back into my heart and going, I may not like you, but I forgive you and I love you. How can I like you? How can I, what do you need me to hear so that we can move forward together? So some people find that really difficult to do. So a lot of my parts of me have personas. So, like, I have a little girl, I have a prim and proper crotchety old woman, she's got curlers in her hair, she's got an old house coat on, and she's like, right. And so, but I allow myself to engage in conversations with them, either in my head or journaling, or I will literally pretend that there's a chair beside me and we're actually having a conversation. And it makes it easier for the human brain to heal and comprehend that, right? Because we've always heard, oh, you talk to yourself, you're crazy. Whereas if we, so by giving the human brain a persona to actually talk to that we externalize, we're actually able to have a better conversation. We're actually able to go deeper into ourselves.
So it sounds like what you're saying is take ownership for our own projections in life on other people, and then, unhealthy projections, right? Because we are actually our own creators in our own reality.
Yep.
So, so I want to touch a little bit on this question. So, what techniques would you recommend to someone who is going through trauma and having a difficult time with trauma? How would you maybe guide them to see the miracle within the trauma?
So this is an interesting question because I really do believe that inside every trauma is a miracle waiting to be discovered. And sometimes that miracle is immediate. And other times that miracle takes years, and I mean years, to come to light. I'm going to use an example of something that happened to me when I was 16. I ended up falling down the stairs, ended up going through the medical system for over 2 years because they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Because all of their tests showed that nothing really was until they started digging a bit deeper. And then they were like, oh, that's what's wrong with you. So between the ages of like 15 and 19, I was in and out of crutches, in and out of wheelchairs, right? And I mean, as a teenager, do you want to be experiencing that as a teenager? No. So my teenage years were all messed up. And all I could keep hearing, I mean, I didn't like it, I hated it. But all I could keep hearing was, there's a reason for this. And that's what I had to believe. And it wasn't until my youngest son was 15, 14, 15, where all of my experience came back and I was able to help him with a like he had ended up with a medical issue that the doctors weren't figuring out, and I knew exactly how to push through because of my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a traumatic experience. I mean, I was, going through my teenage years, but it was like moving forward, I had learned all of this, and because of that I was able to help my son not go through what I went through. So when you're going through something traumatic, one, first and foremost, allow yourself to go through it. Don't try to push it aside. Don't try to bottle it down because that just makes it worse. Cry if you need to. Rant at the universe if you need to. But also keep an open mind that there is a reason for this happening. And oftentimes, that's when you'll start to see those rays of sunlight come in, and you can actually start to see, oh, okay, this is why it happened. Or, oh, okay, now I understand. And sometimes it's immediate, right? Sometimes it's like immediately you have the realization of why something traumatic happened. But other times, like I said, it can take years. But if I look back at my 2 broken ankles, that is what started me on my journey to where I'm at. It's what started me on to getting to know myself, recognizing and opening myself back up to the more that the universe has to offer us.
I like that. The universe is never random. There's always a higher purpose, a higher reason for why things happen the way they do in our life. It's really, for me, I think it's just an opportunity that is given to us. Even trauma, it's an opportunity given to us to help us to expand and grow and evolve.
Yep.
So I love that. So you mentioned earlier when you were telling your personal story, you said that you had everything, but then you still felt very empty inside. So why do you think this occurs? Okay, number one. And then what advice would you give to somebody who's also feeling the same way? Like, they have the big house, expensive cars, but then feeling horribly alone and isolated from maybe everything around them?
My first, and people are going to be like, oh, that's not true. My first reaction to all of this is, and even to myself, was you're not living the life you want to be living. You're not living your life by your definition of happiness and by your definition of success. You are living a life based upon others' expectations, be it parents, be it spouses, be it whatever, or societal norms, right? Oh, I'm going to grow up, I'm going to get a house, I'm going to have 2.5 kids, I'm going to have a white picket fence, and you achieve it all and you're like, I'm not happy. Why? Because your soul is screaming for a nomad life. Maybe you are supposed to be up and traveling and moving every 2 years and doing different things. Life is not meant to be lived in one way and one way only, ever. Every single person has their own definition of success, of happiness, of joy, of contentment, of family, of love, of whatever you want to call it. And so if you have achieved everything you ever thought you wanted in life, but you're still not happy, you need to actually stop thinking about what everybody else thinks and start thinking about what it means for you. If I was to say to 10 different people in a room, what is your definition of success? I want to get 10 different answers. I don't want to get, $1 million or $2 million and, a house like this and a house on the beach and this kind of car. It's not what I want. If that's what makes you happy, fabulous. Let's figure out a way to get you to do it. But if your definition of success is having your family all around you all the time, then that's what you need to be doing. It's not what you shouldn't be chasing what everybody else is chasing, because that may not speak to you.
Yeah, I was thinking if somebody in a situation where they have the big house, they have the expensive cars, and maybe they're married to a spouse that they're happily married with, but then this soul yearning is like, oh, I want to give up everything and travel the world, be a nomad. There's a lot of fear involved, right? It's like, how do I tell my spouse, like, I want to give up everything,
Mhm.
in that situation? So I guess my question is, when there's fear involved, because you've established a reputation, maybe you're a CEO of a company, how do you even like get out of this cycle or this structure that you put yourself in and just tell everybody, no, I'm selling everything and I want to be a nomad? Like, people will think you're kind of crazy. So how do you handle that?
You handle it first and foremost with yourself. You first have to decide for you what's important to you. And then there may be compromises, right? I mean, if you have you're a CEO of a company and you have a spouse and stuff, there are ways to still live the nomad life without fully living the nomad life, right? So this is a very multi-stepped and multi-level type of answer or question, because first you have to figure out what you want, then you have to figure out what you're willing, like, can you compromise, right? Because I'm not saying it's all or nothing. I'm saying that there are parts that can be incorporated into your current life that still give you that feeling of the success and the joy and the passion and the aliveness that we all want to feel, while still doing what you're currently doing, if that's what you want to do. I like, when I felt like that, I felt like I wanted to blow my life up and go start somewhere fresh somewhere else. But what I realized is I can actually shift things right where I'm at and still get the life that I love and want to do without blowing up everybody else's life.
Can you give
Things
an example?
the example is I wanted to blow my life up. I wanted to quit corporate. I wanted to go, like, just move, just go somewhere else. Like, and instead I started shifting myself internally, and I did eventually quit corporate, but that's because it's something I wanted to do. And it was a discussion I had with my husband, right? I talked to my husband. I figured out what I wanted, and I was able to speak with him about it and say, this is what I'm feeling. How can we incorporate that together into our lives? And what is it that you're feeling that you want to incorporate into our lives? Because we're here to live and experience and be joyful and happy. And so it's on us to figure out how to make that happen within our own parameters. And there are ways. We aren't trees. We can move. We can shift and change things. It just may take a little bit longer than, that CEO just started going, no, I quit and I'm leaving, right? It just takes a little bit more thought and more structure and more vulnerability. And a lot of people are don't like being vulnerable, but if you truly want to live the life you want to live, you have to start getting a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah, no, vulnerability can be scary for a
Scary.
lot of people.
Yeah.
So, what would you say to someone who thinks that putting themselves in the center of everything they do in life is being selfish?
I say to them that you are the only person who knows how to take care of you. But I also say you're not putting yourself first. You're putting yourself at the same level of importance as you put everybody else. So it's not selfish, because you are the only one who can take care of you. You are the only one who can choose to be happy. You are the only one who can choose to be sad. You are the only one who can choose how you react or act. Other people's behavior may influence that, but it is ultimately up to you what you choose to do. So you putting yourself at your center of your life actually makes sense, because it makes you happier. And in turn, it makes everybody else around you happier. So it's not being selfish to make yourself happy, because when you're happy, that ripples out to everybody else.
Yes, that's a good point. It all starts with us, right? If we are happy, family will be happy, everything else will just kind of fall into place. So, great point.
The one thing I do want to say here, because it came up when you said family will be happy. Sometimes family isn't happy when you start on this journey and you start putting yourself sort of at the center of your own life, because they've gotten used to you being a certain way, and they've gotten used to treating you a certain way. So they may not like you kind of going, well, no, I actually don't want to do that. And actually standing up for yourself rather than just going along with everything. But those who matter won't mind, and those, who mind won't matter, kind of thing. It's
Right.
that old saying, right? Because those who are meant to be in your life will be there even as you shift and change, the same way you're there for them as they shift and change.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, this brings up a lot of fear too, again, because you're changing and maybe your spouse is still wanting things to remain the same. And so it's scary because you need to kind of step back and evaluate whether you
Mhm.
want to carry on in the marriage or maybe this is not the right spouse for you.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of, like I said, a lot of fear in the collective because everybody's starting to awaken and things that used to work probably starting to not work anymore.
Yep.
And so yeah, it's a very complicated time. Let's just say that.
It is. And I think that's partly why everybody is partly behaving the way they are. It's like, my opinion is important. Yes, it is. but so is everyone else's opinion around you. So how can we live cohesively?
So I want to move to your business now. So talk more about your business and the services that you provide to the collective.
So my business is a mixture of the practical and the magical. Because that's who I am. I'm coming out and I'm marrying both my practical business techie side and my totally spiritual magical side. And my business is Speak Your Soul Magicks. And it's funny because you asked how or why I named it Speak Your Soul Magicks. And I had two businesses at the very beginning, and one was Speak Your Soul, because I really do believe, right, speaking your soul, and then Soul Magics. And I'm like, well, why do I have two when it really actually can all fit together?
Mm.
So Speak Your Soul is learning who you are inside and bringing that up and out into the world, right? So it's literally speaking your soul. And then Soul Magics to me is the magic and the joy and the amazement of learning who you are at your soul level. And so Speak Your Soul Magicks was born because I'm like, I want you to speak your soul, but it's also so magical when you start doing it, because the universe around you, your life around you just can start to change in amazing ways and in ways you never even thought possible.
Right.
So,
And so you also do your Circle Method program. What is that about?
so the Circle Method program is a 16-week program where I work with you either on your personal life or your entrepreneurial life. So I have two different paths. But it basically is the treasure map into you. And Circle stands for clarifying inner realities and co-creating life experiences. So
Oh,
that's
that's
what Circle
cool.
stands for. So it's all about removing the noise and the chaos and the stories we tell ourselves and the expectations that we've brought forward from past lifetimes or from childhood or from societal norms. And it's all about learning how to take all the different parts and pieces of us and bringing it all together into one, and being able to stand in that strength of knowing who you are.
So do you do one-on-one coaching and group coaching as well, or specifically just one-on-one?
Right now, it's just one-on-one. I am working on a couple of group programs, but right now it is just one-on-one, because why, as you're doing this, it can be really lonely. And having someone specifically in your corner, cheering you on, helping you see different perspectives can be huge and so empowering. So, and it's also so vulnerable, and not everybody's comfortable being so vulnerable in a group container. So it is very much sort of a one-on-one type container that I offer.
Right. So the Circle Method program, is that the only program that you have, or are there others?
There are others. I also offer, so I'm going to go the magical first, and then I'll talk about my brand new program that I have. So the magical offerings are energy healings, oracle card readings, including a signature circle 7-card spread. So those are all on my website. I also do home cleansings and business cleansings, meaning I go into your location and I actually like cleanse and figure out what's going on, remove the stagnant energy, bring in new energy, open, basically clean everything and open everything up for new experiences and whatever you want to come in. But my brand new signature program, and I'm absolutely in love with it, is the one-on-one Biz Fairy Godmother 6-week program.
Oh, I love that name.
I do too, because I'm very much like it's a work with you. So we get you from point none to point done in whatever aspects of your business you're struggling with. So it's to help strengthen and streamline your business foundations and processes. And you can either be like brand new startup, you can be doing a revamp, you could be doing a product or program launch, and you only have like a set period of time where you need to get things done. It could also be you've been trying things for a few years and things feel very sporadic and chaotic, and you just want to strengthen them and streamline them, because once you have a solid, strong business foundation, right? You can then grow because
Mm-hmm.
all the little things that have been like niggling at you are done. They're completed. So it's a 6-week program and I'm so anxious. I love what I'm doing.
Nice. So the spirit come through for your clients?
Very much so. So yeah, this is it, I a lot of people believe, myself included a while ago, that I either had to be practical or spiritual. There was never like I could be both. But as I have continued to grow and expand my own understanding and growth, it's like, no, 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 no. I'm both. So let's bring them both in. So even when I'm working with like WordPress, even for myself, WordPress, for example, I'll bring in my intuition and magical and go, okay, yeah, no, yes, it could look this way, but I'm being very much drawn to have it look this way instead. And it really is making a difference. And if somebody is struggling with, a decision, or should I hire this person, or should I hire that person, or should I do this on my own, or should I go in this way? Spirit definitely comes through and provides guidance and answers on that as well.
Nice, very nice. And so where can people find you if they want to work with you?
They can find me all over the place. I am on my website is Speak Your Soul Magicks, and Magicks is with a CKS at the end. I like to spell it the old way. And all of my services are on my website, but I'm also on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. And if you just look up Speak Your Soul Magicks or even just Tami Goulet, you'll find me.
Okay, wonderful. So I'll put all that in the show notes. And so you also have a special gift for our audience today?
I do. I actually have, it's called Empower Your Everyday Checklist. And it is 3 practical ways you can bring in your spirituality practices into your busy life. So and I'll talk about one of them that's on the sheet, but a really good one is, you have your drink in the morning, be it a smoothie, a coffee, a tea, water, whatever. If you take something and you start stirring in, you can stir in your intentions.
Mm.
So I'm going to have a good day. It's going to be productive. This podcast is going to be awesome. Right? All of those. And then as you're sipping it and drinking it, you're actually bringing in the intentions and the manifestations into your heart, body, and your soul and your cells. And you live differently when you start to do that. It's similar to the glass of water at night beside your bed, right? And you're bringing in the messages. This is you're bringing in your intentions, you're bringing them into your body, you're shifting things inside in order to bring true what you wanted.
Wow, I'm learning so much from you. I'm gonna try that as well. I love that. I think the energy of these times is just asking us to kind of like be more conscious, step up, be more conscious, check in, tune in, and connect. I think this is what I'm getting anyway.
Yep.
So we have a couple minutes left. So I have a signature closing question here that I ask all my guests.
Okay.
And you are certainly invited to answer it, or if you prefer, you can bring spirit through as well. I don't mind. So this is my question. What is your closing message for humanity to help in our collective healing and empowerment?
So I'm going to bring in, I think there's a couple of different things that I'm being led to bring in. One is, and this is something I've had to learn, and this is something I teach all my clients. If you want others to accept you how you are, you must also accept them for how they are. Because how can you ask others to do something that you are not willing to do yourself? And I think a lot of people have potentially forgotten that right now in today's society. A lot of people are living a life of, if you don't agree with me, get out of my life, right? Whereas no one is ever going to agree with you 100%, ever, 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 because we all have our own perspectives on things. There are, and I use this example too, you could have 10 different people looking at exactly the same, thing that's going to happen. Same angle, same height, same everything. Like everything is absolutely identical. And you will get 10 different iterations of what they saw happened. Why? Because we're all unique. We are all living individuals based in all of our thoughts and processes and everything and perspectives are based upon our own interpretations of the experiences we've experienced. And people are forgetting that. People are forgetting that it's okay to think differently. It's okay to have a different opinion. It's okay to love how you want to love. I'm hurt, my heart hurts, my soul hurts for what's going on right now. But this is also one of those life lessons of out of every trauma will come a miracle waiting to be discovered. It's
Yes.
just going to take us a little bit longer to recognize it right now, I think.
Yes. I so love that. I just want to add, like you said, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, their own perspectives, and I totally agree with that because I think the human collective has been kind of like programmed to be afraid of diversity. Everybody has to be the same. Like I have a military background, so in the military, it's like everybody has to be the same. Sameness is what is accepted in the human collective, but if you're different, they view you as a threat, possibly.
Mhm.
And so I think what you say is so relevant and everybody can relate to it. And I'm so glad you brought that up because we need to hear this that it's okay to have diversity in our collective. Everybody is different and everybody is unique. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. The other thing I want to mention is, you brought up the military, and it's true. There are times where you need a cohesive collective unit moving forward, right? In the military is a perfect example because you wouldn't want people, well, I don't like the way he looked at me, so I'm going to go do this, right? Rather than following. So it's an interesting because it's different levels. So you have your own level where you need to accept everybody else for their own differences and stuff. But then the next level is your rights end where someone else's rights begin. And then the next level is if we want to move forward as a collective, we also all have to accept ourselves and kind of move forward together. But it brings it right back down to the base level where we all should be learning from each other.
Mhm.
So it's a really interesting human experience we're experiencing right now.
Yeah, like I said, it's complicated.
It is. But the best thing you can do for humanity right now is remember or find or live who you are at your soul level. Because most of us are here to be good. Most of us are here to advance the human society. So,
Yeah. And the reason why we're here is because our soul chose to be here for a multitude of reasons. And so I think it's really important for us to just kind of start checking in with the whispers of the soul and not with the noise that's all outside. You just kind of need to go within.
yep, very much so. If you don't agree with something, great. But you also don't need necessarily to shout it at the top of your lungs that you don't agree with something. So
Right. So, Tammy, thank you so much for being here today. And I so enjoyed this conversation because I learned so much from you. I'm definitely going to try those two practices and I'll let you know how they work for me. I am so grateful for the wisdom that you shared. And yeah, I would love to have you back on maybe next year.
Yep, I would love to be back on. And thank you so much. I enjoyed sharing. I enjoyed our conversation. And thank you for the questions because they made me
Thank
think.
you. Thank you. And
Thank
for everybody who's watching and listening, thank you for your time. And until next time, bye for now.